When it comes to home insurance, Geico works for you. And since I'm the Geico Gecko, I'm here working for you too.
Hey, Gecko, can you record my voicemail greeting?
No problemo. You've reached the amazing Rita. She's probably busy right now teaching music theory to neighbourhood birds, or telling a total stranger how they can bundle home and car insurance with Geico to get the discounts they deserve. But rest assured, she'll get back to you once she's done brightening her little corner of the world. Did that sound all right?
Nailed it. No notes.
Let Geico work for you. Get more with Geico.
Welcome to Lil Weird, the little podcast that peers into the strange, the curious, and the stories that slip through the cracks of ordinary life. I'm your host, Jane, your curator of oddities and keeper of midnight tales. Here, we don't just tell stories, we follow them into the shadows, trace their echoes through history, and ask what they still whisper to us today. Imagine walking on a moonless night. The world around you, pitch dark and silent. In the distance, a flicker of light appears, bobbing as if carried by an unseen hand. Relief flashes over you. Perhaps it's a lantern guiding you home. You follow, heart hopeful. But each time you think you're close, the light drifts further into the wilderness. Suddenly, it vanishes, leaving you alone and disoriented in an unfamiliar forest. Folklore around the globe is filled with deceptive spirits that play exactly this trick, luring people off the safe path and into danger. From the ghostly fireballs of the Philippines to the shape-shifting tricksters of North America, these entities prey on our deepest fears of getting lost, losing control, and being led astray. In this podcast episode, we'll journey through different cultures to meet these beguiling creatures. The wandering Santelmo and prankster Tikbalang of the Philippines. Japan's is like Kitsune. China's drifting ghost lights. Europe's flickering will-o'-the-wisp. Latin America's mischievous duende. And the Native American coyote. Along the way, we'll uncover their traits, the hapless victims they target, the meanings behind their mischief, and the surprising similarities that link these legends across continents. Ever wonder why so many cultures warn against following strange lights or trusting that charming stranger on a lonely road? Stay with me. Tonight, we're shining a light, or perhaps a trickster's lantern, on the spirits that lead travelers astray. In the Philippines, travelers have long feared some eerie denizens of the night, Santelmo, Tikbalang, and even Engkantos. Santelmo, from a pointy Elmo or Saint Elmo's fire, appears as a glowing bowl of flame floating through darkness. Often seen near marshes, rivers, or in a stormy weather, this flame is no more natural phenomenon. It's said to be a restless soul manifesting as fire. In Ilocano, it's tellingly called alawig, meaning persuasion or trickery, reflecting the belief that Santelmo lures travelers off their paths. Those who stray toward its dancing light feel a strange compulsion, only to end up lost, disoriented, or even led to their doom. Some rural Filipinos insist that if you ever find yourself chasing an elusive fireball, and suddenly can't tell which way is home, you must remove your shirt and wear it inside out. A counter magic to break Santelmo's spell. Turning your clothes inverts the enchantment is snapping you out of the spirit's illusion. In the mountains of Ifugao, it was called Fanfanilag. In the Visayas, people liken it to a comet and called it bulalakaw. According to some legends, it is the manifestation of restless souls, the spirits of the unbaptized, or of those who drowned and could not find peace. Others describe it as a fire that can shift into the shape of a beast, with glowing jaws ready to consume the unsuspecting. As a kid, I grew up with my grandfather's stories about the Santelmo. My grandparents once lived in a coastal town where fishing was the heartbeat of everyday life. I remember my lolo sharing his own encounters with this mysterious fireball. He said that on certain nights, Santelmo could be seen hovering near the shore or even dancing above the sea itself. When I think about it now, that image still amazes me. A ball of fire that's somehow waterproof. Yeah, that's amazing, right? And yes, as tempting as it was to follow, the people in their town knew better. Everyone was warned. Chasing the dancing flame meant losing your way. Because my grandfather himself witnessed it, I believe that Santelmo was real. He was not the type to make up fantasies. He was practical, logical, and only trusted what he could see or experience firsthand. But at the same time, he was a man full of wonder. He always carried stories under his sleeve. If you've listened to my past episodes, you might remember I once shared about Usog, what's often called the evil eye. That was in episode 4, Unveiling the Dark Side of Filipino Folk Magic, and again in episode 7, Filipino Health Mysteries, Ancient Practices in Modern World. My grandfather had that peculiar trait too. Our family knows that he could unintentionally make someone sick just by greeting them the wrong way. My grandmother often added that he was also a folk killer, which only makes him even more interesting. And what's funny is that if you ever met my Lola, you probably wouldn't guess it. He had a bit of this gangster vibe, someone who has a smoke in his hand and you wouldn't dare to mess up with. And because of that, he didn't look like someone who believed in the strange. But behind all that was a man attuned to these weird and wonderful mysteries. While folklore paints Santelmo as a restless spirit or a supernatural fire, science offers a different perspective. Some researchers suggest that what people saw could have been natural gases like methane or phosphine escaping from decaying matter in swamps or coastal areas. When these gases ignite, they create glowing flames and flickering lights that seem to move with intent. Around the world, similar sightings are explained this way. In Europe, they called the Will of the Wisp, and in Japan, the Kitsune or foxfire, which we will talk about much later. To an observer in the dark, the light looks alive. It drifts, it dances, and it vanishes. It's easy to see why so many communities imagine these flames as spirits that lure the living astray. And yet, when I compare this explanation to my grandfather's stories, some details don't quite fit. We saw Santelmo hovering on the sea itself, not in the swamp or marsh, but over salt water, where gases would not easily gather or ignite. For a fireball, it seems strangely waterproof. Then there's the matter of time. If this is purely a natural phenomenon, why were such sightings common in my Lola's youth, but almost unheard of today? The conditions haven't disappeared. There are still mangroves, marshes, and coastal decay, and yet the stories have grown silent. Did the phenomenon vanish, or did we simply stop seeing it, or maybe we stopped believing long enough to give it a name? This is where folklore and science meet in the middle. Science gave us a part of the puzzle, but my grandfather's eyewitness account hints at something more elusive, something not fully captured by chemistry alone. And maybe that's the lasting power of Santelmo. It burns brightest in the space between what we can explain and what we still wonder about. Then, somewhere which I don't exactly recall now, I read that some storytellers remind us that Santelmo may not have always been feared. In pre-colonial Philippines, lights at sea and along the coast were sometimes seen as omens of guidance, tied to deities like Amansinaya, the goddess of the ocean, who was invoked by fishermen for safe passage. So, what if Santelmo's flame was once understood not as a curse, but as a beacon, a spirit flame guiding seafarers through the dangers of night waters? When the Spanish arrived, however, many native deities and spirits were recast as malevolent inks. The glowing fire that once reassured fishermen may have been rebranded as a demonic trick. It's a story reshaped to warn Christians away from old beliefs. In this light, Santelmo became a perfect symbol of what colonial rule did to our myths, turning guardians into monsters and sacred omens into superstitions of fear. So, is Santelmo a wandering soul, a spirit of the sea, or simply swamp gas and stormfire dancing in the night air? Perhaps it's all of this at once. A flame that embodies both the wonder of nature and the weight of our history, flickering at the border between science, myth, and memory. Not all Filipino tricksters are ephemeral as the flame. Stalking the forest is the Tikbalang, a tall, bony creature with the head of a horse and the body of a man. Tikbalangs are infamous for waylaying travelers in the mountains. A tikbalang might silently mimic a familiar trail, only to make an unwary hiker walk in endless circles. No matter how far you go, you always end up back at the same spot, a maddening loop of confusion. Folktales describe victims becoming utterly lost if they emerge at all. Like with Santelmo, elders advise simple remedies. Ask permission allowed before passing through remote areas, to show respect to the Tikbalang's domain, or wear your shirt inside out if you suspect a Tikbalang's playing tricks. With a little humility and a fashion reversal, you might just find the real path again. These beliefs topple as cautionary tales about respecting the wilderness. After all, the Tikbalang is sometimes seen as a guardian of the forest, punishing those who stray or make too much noise. In Philippine lore, whether it's a flickering Santelmo or lurking Tikbalang, the message is clear. Travelers, beware the unknown. Things are not always what they seem in the dark. But the dangers don't end with horse-headed tricksters. Our folklore tells us another peril, the Engkanto. Spirits whose enchantment runs deeper, darker, and far more deceptive. Engkantos, whose name comes from the Spanish encanto, meaning enchantment, are said to be ethereal beings tied to the natural world, often inhabiting baleta trees, hidden forests, or even entire cities invisible to human eyes. They are described as impossibly attractive, with skin so fair and features so flawless that they don't quite seem human. Their homes too appear magnificent, lavish palaces with glittering halls, but this beauty is only a mask. Folklore warns that once their illusions fade, the palaces reveal themselves as filthy caverns, their region hosts as grotesque beings, and those who've eaten their food trapped forever in their shadowy world. If this sounds familiar, it's because I talk about one of the most famous tales of Engkanto back in episode 3, Into the Parallel Realms of the Enchanted City on Summer Island. That episode explored the legend of Biringan, the mysterious city said to be inhabited by Engkantos. Travelers who stumble upon it describe peace, music, and wealth beyond imagining, only to find themselves lost, disoriented, or vanish from the human world altogether. Engkanto are neither wholly friend nor foe. They have the power to bring fortune or madness. Those they favor might receive blessings, while those who offend them suffer fevers, depression, or worse, sudden disappearances or soul entrapment. To guard against their wrath, people carry anting-anting or amulets, or offer rituals in thanks or appeasement. The Philippines is not alone in its tales of wandering light and trickster guides. Our next stop, East Asia, is home to its own beguiling spirits, from magical foxes to ghostly flames that float through the night. In Japan and China, ancient folklore also speaks of spirits whose favorite pastime is to lead humans astray. Sometimes with literal phantom lights, other times with elaborate illusions. Not all spirits mislead us with ghostly lights or playful pranks. Some weave illusions so beautiful that you don't even realize you've already stepped into their trap. In Japan, there's the Kitsune, the fox spirit. With its power to shapeshift, a Kitsune can appear as the most alluring stranger you've ever seen, or even as someone you trust. It can conjure a dreamlike home, warm and welcoming, filled with food and laughter. But once the illusion fades, the truth is horrifying. The home is nothing but wilderness or ruin, and the stranger is revealed to be a fox with eyes full of mischief. This still resonates so strongly with our own folklore here in the Philippines, much like the Japanese Kitsune. The Engkantos are masters of illusion. But here's the danger. The moment you eat their food, you're trapped in their world forever. These stories, Kitsune in Japan and Engkantos in the Philippines, they whisper the same warning across oceans and centuries. Beware of feasts and faces that seem too perfect, because not every invitation is meant to be accepted. An old Japanese legend tells of a man who married a stunning woman who was secretly a fox in disguise. When her true nature was revealed, the man snapped out of enchantment and found himself alone, guilty and disoriented, far from home. The entire marriage having been a kitsune's illusion. Kitsune can even possess humans, a condition called kitsunetsu, bending the victim's will. For these reasons, people in old Japan were extremely wary of strange encounters at night. Travelers would avoid eating food offered by any stranger after dusk, fearing it might be a fox magic in disguise. a bewitched meal that could turn out to be leaves or dirt once the spell wears off. Accepting a gift from a kitsune could place you under its control, bound by enchantment. Imagine biting into what looks like a real rice ball a kindly old woman gave you on the road, only to awaken from a trance hours later with mouthful of dead leaves. The fox tricks symbolize the very real danger of losing one's judgment when seduced by appearances or temptations. Meanwhile, in Chinese folklore and neighboring Korea, we find ghostly lights is strikingly similar to Santelmo or Kitsunebi. Chinese villagers spoke of guǐhuǒ or ghost fire, eerie lights believed to be the unquiet spirits of the dead. One ancient Chinese text explains that these wandering flames come from the blood of humans and animals killed in past battles, igniting after many years as roaming lights. It was a way to understand the spooky willow-wisp-like lights seen in marshes or old battlefields, not mere swamp gas, but the souls of those who died untimely. Such ghost fires were treated with caution and dread. Over in Korea, a folktale staple is the dokkaebi bull, or goblin fire. Dokkaebi, or goblins, use these bluish flames to prank travelers at night, confusing them, luring them into swampy pits or hazardous terrain. Much like the Tikbalang streaks in the Philippines, the Korean goblin's light exploits a traveler's desperation for guidance, only to lead them into deeper trouble. Whether it's the Japanese fox lantern or the Chinese soul fire, East Asian lore echoes the refrain, "Trust the mysterious light at your own peril." But the Philippines and Asia aren't the only places where strange lights and trickster spirits play their games. In the West, stories of glowing flames and mischievous beings are just as rich, just as chilling. Next time, we'll travel from the swamps of Europe to the forests of Latin America, and finally to the open plains of North America, where one of the world's greatest tricksters still roams.